CBC Morning Report for Tuesday, May 2nd. I'm Tisha Hines. In our top story, the eyes of the financial world are again on the United States as regulators have seized the troubled First Republic Bank in the second largest bank failure in U.S. history. All of its deposits and most of its assets have been sold to J.P. Morgan Chase in a bid to end the turmoil that has raised questions about the health of the U.S. banking system. It's the third mid-sized bank to fail in less than 2 months, with the only larger bank failure in U.S. history being Washington Mutual, which collapsed at the height of the 2008 financial crisis. The bank's shareholders are likely to be wiped out as a part of the deal. How does this latest failure in the U.S. banking system affect us here in Barbados? Well, economist Dr. Justin Ram is live on the Morning Report to analyze for us. Good morning, Dr. Ram.
Good morning, Tisha. Thank you for having me on this morning.
Thanks for sharing with us. Now, what has caused the recent collapse of these banks?
So what has happened in the U.S. is that there has been a lot of excess liquidity for a number of factors. And these monies have been deposited in banks. And so there have been these large deposits being held in many banks, including these mid-sized banks. But what has happened is that the management of these banks were managing these excess resources by buying long-dated government securities. Now, this particular strategy would work in a low interest rate environment. So this was fine before the pandemic and before we had this massive bout of inflation that is currently inflicting the world. But when inflation started to increase, then interest rates needed to rise. And so there's this inverse relationship between the interest rate on government securities and the price of those securities. And so what happened as interest rates rose, the prices of these securities declined. And so there was this mismatch between this excess liquidity and what the banks were holding as a result. And so what happened was that in cases like this where depositors wanted to get back their money, the banks were unable to sell those securities at market values that they were hoping to. So because the prices had now fallen as a result of increases in interest rates. And this is what has caused this problem. It is really a problem of inadequate risk management and perhaps poor management decisions at these banks that has caused this. So their strategies would have worked in a low interest rate environment, but however, once interest rates started to rise, that strategy quickly unraveled, and that's what we've seen in the recent bank collapses in the U.S.
We've also heard a lot about inflation, and that inflation has also impacted the war in Ukraine. Has any of this impacted on the banks which collapsed?
Yes, well, in fact, it is the underlying inflation that is causing a lot of these problems. Because of the high levels of inflation, central banks, including the U.S. Federal Reserve, has had to raise interest rates to combat inflation. It is this increase in interest rates that has unraveled the strategy of these banks, meaning that the securities that they were holding, the value of those securities declined as interest rates fell. So it is really the underlying inflation that has caused this. Now, as I said, in a low interest rate environment, i.e., a low inflation environment, the strategies that the banks were using before would have worked. But once interest rates began to rise, the strategy then unraveled. And so there was this mismatch with what banks thought that they had as compared to what the value of those securities were in the market. So it's really an issue of poor management and poor risk management at these banks that has brought along this decline in some of these mid-sized banks in the U.S.
All right, let's bring it home now to Barbados. How will this impact Barbados' economy and banking system and even foreign held accounts?
Well, what we're likely to see in the United States is a ratcheting up of the regulatory requirements. So Back in 2019, I think it was, the U.S. authorities had decreased the regulatory oversight for some banks. That is to say, for smaller banks. For the larger banks, they maintained very strict rules, but for mid-sized banks, similar to First Republic, the rules were not as stringent. And what that meant was that credit was made a lot more easily available to customers. What we're likely to see now with this increase in regulation is that credit is likely to dry up for some customers, and that can have a knock-on effect, perhaps for investors, perhaps for persons who will not be able to access credit for travel, or who might want to invest in Barbados by accessing loans from home. So that could have an impact. However, I want to say that for any Barbadians, or let's say Caribbean nationals, who might be holding monies and deposits at American banks, all deposits at U.S. banks are guaranteed up to $250,000. So if you have any deposits that are less than that, you don't really need to worry about losing any money. It is if you have monies in excess of that one should really try to diversify and move your resources so that you don't have any deposits in the U.S. that can exceed $250,000. I think, however, that for Barbados, we also have to look at this and start to think about how we also treat with large deposits in our banking sector as well. And I think there are things like money market funds that the government should really start encouraging the financial sector to start looking at, so that persons have alternative means of keeping their monies safe away from deposits.
Before we go, though, what securities are in place to ensure that banks don't invest depositors' money above the $250,000 that they have insured? Because this might be one of the main reasons that once people see that, you know, there's something happening with the bank, then they rush to withdraw their money, and we're seeing these collapses happen as well. So what systems are in place, and maybe particularly here in the region, to maybe quell some fears?
So in the U.S., the $250,000 threshold really protects about 99% of deposits. So most deposits are less than that and are fully protected. It is a very large deposit, and if you have a very large deposit in excess of 250,000, you should be much more savvy in what you do with your money. You should not keep all of that money in a bank account. Perhaps that money needs to go into money market funds, where it could be a lot safer. I would say that with respect to Barbados and the region, I've been saying for some time that we have to look at our financial intermediation. And because of the rules and regulations around banks, and I should say that banks have really become agencies that engage in a lot of financial lock taking, as it were, on top of very important infrastructure. And so we really need some way to have this excess liquidity that we might have in our banking system being utilized in some type of an investment fund for purposes beyond lending that banks do. So I think that because of the speculative nature that banks engage in when they lend, we need to be mindful of that and start to develop policies that encourage the use of money market funds, the use of unit trust corporations as well, so that persons have some alternative means for where they can keep their money, where they can be invested much more safely than perhaps where monies are being used by banks to lend to other customers. And when those loans start to go bad, then all of us can be in problems. So really, the authorities in Barbados and back in the Caribbean need to start looking at ways to encourage different types of investment funds, money market funds, unit trust corporations, so that persons have alternative mechanisms whereby they can save excess liquidity that they might have. And perhaps that money can also then be used for greater investment in the wider economy, rather than only being used as loans that banks use for other customers.
Economist Dr. Justin Ram, thank you so much for sharing with us this morning on the collapse in the U.S. of several banks and why it is happening and how it can impact Barbados. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for having me.
Coming up on the CBC Morning Report, surprising elements of the Caribbean firearms study revealed.
The facts say Morning Barbados reaches an audience of over 50,000 and Newsnight reaches over 56,000. It's simple. When you advertise, you're getting your message to over 50,000 of your potential customers. Make the call to CBC Sales Department today and watch your business grow. Contact us at 467-5559 or email marketing@cbc.bb.
While you go about your business, we go about our business, and that is gathering the news. Stay up to date at CBC News Barbados on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Get news update on radio throughout the day. And join us for the CBC News Night at 7 every night. CBC News team is on the job and bringing you
Researchers have found a concerning trend of devices which turn regular weapons into assault rifles being found in this region, and they warn that these tools are easy to make. It's one of the findings in the Caribbean Firearms Study, a 2-year survey on guns in the Caribbean. As the report was embargoed until recently, here is what we can tell you about it.
If the recent CARICOM symposium labeled crime as a health issue, then the framers of this report believes this is a crucial part of the diagnostic stage. CARICOM Impacts and the Small Arms Survey said this is the first such report of its kind on illicit firearms in the Caribbean region, which means it's a rare but maybe necessary departure from data in this region being lumped together with Latin America, as the study states that the rate of lethal violence in the Caribbean for 2020 was almost 3 times the global rate. And in their research, the team found that CARICOM's recent statement banning the use of assault rifles was necessary as
you now have these items that can be produced very cheaply and can convert even a pistol into a fully automatic.
And even though the report is region-wide, they say this is particularly a local issue.
Trinidad and Tobago has seized quite a few of them over the past 2-3 years.
And according to CARICOM Impacts, those conversion devices are quite easy to get your hands on.
You were talking about Glock switches?
Yeah.
Some of them can be made with the 3D printers. So it's not anything significant really, but they're easy, affordable kinds of things.
Another interesting statistic in the report is that there's just over 1 registered gun per 100 residents in the region, meaning that illegal guns far outnumber legal firearms in the Caribbean. However, the researchers believe arming more citizens may not be the solution.
Trinidad and Tobago's Minister of National Security Fitzgerald Hines is not in support of introducing a gun amnesty, noting it will not bear fruit in that country. He says several attempts in the past did not yield healthy results. TTT reports.
Where these physical things are and not in accordance with that act, those laws, we should simply go and find them and take those who hold them and prosecute them and convict them, and the courts will deal with them as it sees fit. I am not too much in the business of asking to put down this and put down that. I think we've tried that before.
The minister also reiterated the call by CARICOM during the recent crime symposium to ban automatic assault weapons. He said this is one of the region-wide measures to be taken in an effort to remove these weapons from the streets.
Those weapons, as you heard from this survey, are in and among us in our civil society, around the church, in the community center, in the school, in the home. That is quite unusual, and I think there was one decision taken by the Caribbean heads, and that was to rid the countries of the region of those weapons and ensure that they are only in the hands of those who are trained and authorized to use them.
On more news of crime from around the region, the police force in the Bahamas is set to open its domestic violence unit in a matter of weeks. Commissioner Clayton Ferranderer says the unit has been progressing, especially in the wake of recent incidents.
We had a meeting just 2 weeks ago right in the same place, which present in that meeting was the First Lady, Mrs. Davis, and which is so this domestic violence is so close to her heart, along with Miss Butler, Loretta Butler Turner. She was present along with a number of women's group, and we had a excellent discussion. We also visited the site where the unit will be housed, the office in the Western District. That is presently under minor renovation, and it should be completed in a few weeks.
Now, further afield, more than 800,000 people may flee Sudan as a result of the ongoing conflict. According to the United Nations Refugee Agency, a catastrophic humanitarian situation has already been unfolding since the fight erupted on April 15.
Hiba is too frightened to leave her apartment in Khartoum.
We hear the sounds of artillery falling in the street. We are traumatized. Every time we hear the fighting, we feel like we will die.
The family is running out of basic supplies.
The rapid support forces are stationed in front of our home, and they won't allow us to fix the electricity pole. There is no electricity and no water.
The UN says the scale and speed of what's unfolding is unprecedented in Sudan and says the humanitarian crisis is at breaking point. The head of the army, General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, has agreed to extend a faltering ceasefire for 72 hours to allow civilians to leave and aid to be delivered. The paramilitary group, the Rapid Support Forces, has also agreed to a temporary truce. But on the ground, fighting continues across the country, including in Khartoum and its twin city, Omdurman. Evacuees in Port Sudan say they feel a sense of shock at the sudden spiral into civil war. Many have lived and worked in Sudan for decades.
Sudan is living through a moment of real terror. I'm talking about dead bodies on the streets. We smelled the dead bodies as we were coming to Khartoum. The firing, the shelling, Sudan is seriously in a state of real war.
Sudanese who have citizenship or residency rights in the United States wait to board a US Navy ship.
We hope God brings peace to everyone in Sudan. We are Sudanese people residing in the US. People should not think that Sudan has been destroyed. No, things have happened, but we wish to stay strong.
This group of Somalis arrived in Mogadishu from Port Sudan.
I am pleased that I have finally arrived in my country. However, what we have been through is unusual and hard to describe, but I am grateful for the opportunity to survive.
But for millions of Sudanese, there is nowhere to go. They're trapped by fighting in a country the UN says is falling apart.
It's time now to preview what's coming up in today's presentation of Morning Barbados. His Excellency David Commichong, Barbados Ambassador to CARICOM, will be in as we continue conversations on CARICOM. And we have quite a bit to discuss this morning. Plus, if you have little ones who are interested in the Junior Monarch competition, we will tell you how. That's coming up shortly. So you definitely want to listen out for that one. And staying with the younger ones, Dr. Gillian Birchwood, consultant pediatrician and neonatologist at the QEH, will be in as we look at stress and anxiety that goes along with exam season as we look towards the 11 plus and other exams, knowing that our children will be tested starting tomorrow, assessed rather, to see how they're doing. Also, Lord School has a big week of activities coming up for their Hall of Fame. They're going to tell us what is happening with that. And today starts the voting period for our Mom's Proud Moment promotion. We will also tell you how you can vote for your favorite videos, and we'll share them with you too. That's all coming up on Morning Barbados. More news, sports, and weather is coming up after this break.
There is a saying, you can find a Bajan anywhere. Are you a Bajan living abroad? Or do you know of one who has migrated to another country? Well, we at Mornin Barbados would love to have you or them on our Bajan Affairs segment. Share your amazing stories, experiences, and how you have adapted to a new culture. Send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.vb. And together we will travel the world.
Enjoy movies, soaps, drama, comedy, inspiration, education, music, and more. You get it all when you get MCTV, because MCTV gives you more.
Back at home now, yesterday saw an historic signing of what's being termed a statement of trust in the people of Barbados. It was signed by Prime Minister Mia Motley, the unions and the private sector. The Prime Minister told the thousands who turned out at the National Botanical Gardens for the 85th anniversary, that should be the 81st anniversary celebrations of the Barbados Workers' Union, that it is a 7-year exercise against the challenges that face us. CBC's Trevor Thorpe was there.
It's official. Government and the private sector have signed the Declaration of Mission. And before placing her signature digitally on the document in the National Botanical Gardens today, Prime Minister Mia Motley told the large audience it is a statement of trust in the people of Barbados. In giving a breakdown of the elements, the Barbadian leader said it is a 7-year exercise. It was the major event of the 85th anniversary celebrations of the Barbados Workers' Union.
That by 2030, we become a clean and beautiful large ocean state, championing sustainable development locally and globally, with the goal of all domestic activities becoming 100% sustainable by 2035. 2, that by 2030, transform Barbados into a country of active, involved citizens. All Barbadians will feel empowered and engaged in the social, economic, and cultural development of the country as confident, creative, compassionate, and entrepreneurial citizens. 3, by 2030, ensure that every Bajan has equitable and reliable access to clean water and nutritious food that is affordable.
The Prime Minister said the document is also to transform Barbados into a high-functioning, resilient society and will touch all Barbadians. General Secretary of the Barbados Workers' Union, Tony Moore, said the Declaration of Mission will ensure a better life for Barbadians.
Today, in signing the BW support for the missions, we are signing for a better future for ourselves, a better future for our children, a future whose success depends on all of us. So I want you to turn to your neighbor at this time and say, it's about you. It's about you. Turn the other side, like if you're in church, and say, it's about you. And I want you to look behind and say, it's about you. Because it is about all of us. More from me as I come back to give the May Day address. God bless the BWU, the Labour Movement, and Barbados.
Minister of Labour Colin Jordan, in his remarks, said it is a mission to change Barbados.
Today we acknowledge on Labour Day, May Day, the labour of workers in Barbados, the labour of workers across the world. And we acknowledge their contribution, our contribution to the development of our country, to the development of our region, and globally to the development of our world.
The Declaration of Mission is to reinvigorate Barbados. It is a mission to transform Barbados with a focused developmental strategy. Trevor Thorpe.
Wow, looks like a big crowd there for the celebration of May Day. Now, there's a plan of the cards from the Barbados Water Authority to be able to reuse grey and black water. Manager of Water Resources and Environmental Management Unit, Alex Eiffel, speaking on CBC TV8's People's Business, said legislation is coming.
There is presently a bill being prepared to go through Parliament, the water reuse bill, that will capture all those opportunities for the average homeowner to reuse grey water, to use reclaimed black water for agriculture purposes, and other industrial waters to be used for agriculture purposes, to use rainwater in the homes. But that bill is, I think, is presently being looked at by the Chief Parliamentary Council, and once it has gone through those stages, there will be the community communications session where we will alert the community on the rules and the opportunities within that bill.
Viewers were also told by the meteorological services that the drought, which is upon us, is likely to worsen this month. Senior meteorologist Samelka Jackman made a forecast.
Currently, we are expecting below normal rainfall for both May and June. So we expect similar conditions to what we would have gotten in April. But lucky for us, May and June tend to have a little more rainfall than April and March. So we are moving into that period where even though it will be below average, we would still get a few more showers. We do seasonal forecast with monthly updates. So we are going to do an update again to the public in the middle of May. We have a good working relationship with Water Authority as they can understand why it's so critical to know the forecast and what's currently happening on the ground as it relates to rainfall and going forward. So we would continue to update them so that they would know what actions are needed and they can make the relevant plans for Barbados as it relates to the water issue that we are currently having.
Now, a major soca drive is in store for Barbadian calypso enthusiasts. As this island's #1 party station, 98.1 The One, is kicking off the Crop Over Festival today with a full day of soca music and visits from various local artists. In the coming weeks, listeners and viewers can tune in for special programming like Soca Avenue and Sweet Soca Sundays. Meanwhile, on stations QFM and 94.7, they will be sharing classic Kaiso favorites, Soca and Souse, and several other exciting initiatives, all designed to keep festival spirit on the airwaves high. And for those crop over music lovers who like it hands-on, the 98.1 pop-up parties will be back at various locations like Flash Zone and Influence Bars. Fans can follow all three stations on social media and, of course, stay connected with CBC, the home of all festivals. Coming up, we are going to give you a look at sports. We're going to take a break and come on back on the CBC Morning Report. Kyle Mayers and Nicholas Puran's Lucknow Super Giants fell to an 18-run defeat to the Royal Challengers Bangalore in yesterday's IPL, preventing them from taking over the lead in the standings. The Giants restricted RCB to a below-par total of 126 for 9. Skipper Faf du Plessis led that innings with 44 after opting to bat first. Giants were then bundled out for 108 in 19.5 overs. Puran only made 9 and Mears went for a duck. Here's a look at that failed runs chase.
Got his man. Should be out. Fielder needs to drop back a bit. Maxwell's the man.
Oh, that's gone to the gate. Deepak Huda.
Oh, not.
Oh, he's gone for it. First ball. Nicholas Moran for you. No, it's gone high, but not long enough. Fielder getting under it. And it's taken. The catching has been superb.
Oh, Gautam just goes straight down the ground and straight over the fence. Yet. Now he's launched, but he hasn't timed it. Another wonderful catch taken. Hurry, hurry, hurry! Throw needed to be right over the bails. They're going upstairs. Just over. Tallest man on the field. Josh Sill got the out. Oh, he's edged it. So he's out. Straight up in the air. Game over. Got his man. Should be out. Fielder needs to drop back a bit. Maxwell's the man.
Gone to the gate. Deepak Huda.
Oh, not.
Oh, he's gone for it. First ball. Nicholas Moran for you. No, it's gone high, but not long enough. Fielder getting under it. And it's taken. The catching has been superb.
Oh, Gautam just goes straight down the ground and straight over the fence.
Well, that's today's morning report. Our next newscast is Newsday at 12 noon on TV8, while The World at 1 will come next via our network of stations, 98.1 The One, 94.7 FM, and 100.7 QFM. Morning Barbados is coming up soon, but now a look at weather. The barometric pressure stands at 1014.3 millibars. It's 26 degrees Celsius and the relative humidity stands at 87%. The winds are blowing out of the east-southeast at 15 kilometers per hour and it's pleasantly cloudy across Barbados. That's it from us. For now, we'll give you an update of the news at 7 a.m. Morning Barbados is next.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Barbados, get up. Good morning. Good morning, Barbados. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, morning, morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, Barbados. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Morning, Barbados. Good morning. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Morning to you.
It's Tuesday, May 2nd. Good morning and welcome to another presentation of Morning Barbados. Good to have you in company, hot off the heels of another wonderful long weekend. So for those of you who were able to enjoy yourselves over the weekend, get some rest or head out. I know there was lots and lots to do and see in Barbados. So maybe you made it out to the Barbados Reggae Festival, which was back in fine form and many, many people came out to be a part of it. Or maybe you opted to celebrate with the various May Day celebrations that happened happened yesterday, whether with the Barbados Workers Union or with CBC. We also told you last week about a cricket match that went on. Hey, we're going to be sharing a little more about all of that a little bit later. I am told that they got beaten comprehensively. A celebrity match that came off, all for a worthy cause. It happened over at the Dover playing field, and they thoroughly enjoyed it though. So that was the Lions Club of Christchurch West celebrity cricket match. I'm told they put up a credible fight, but that came from inside the camp, so I need corroboration. You know, as journalists, we never have a one source story, or should never have. So we're going to have to wait and see how they did, but hear it from another source. Also this weekend, we had Gabby's concert, and Gabby was on last week to tell us about it. It was packed from all reports. It was a fantastic concert, and it was thoroughly enjoyed. All that everybody's asking is, when is the next one? So we definitely have to wait on that. But this was a big 75 to the mighty Gabby over at the UWI in the big tent, and it truly came off well. People enjoyed themselves. Okay, now the CBC rally was in town at the Freedom Park, the Clement, in that area, in honor of Clement Payne and others who would have set the tone for workers, not only in Barbados but across the region. So they were in that space, and their rally was exceptional. And of course, we had the Beige to the World semi-finals that came off last evening at Dover as well. So we most certainly will be catching you up on all of that, because we had the young people of Beige to the World who shared with us all last week and up to yesterday. Yeah, they were here with us on Morning Barbados as well. So a packed weekend. I certainly hope you're ready to get up and hit the workspace this morning. If you're not, we are certainly going to get you there with all that's happening here on Morning Barbados. So today we are talking about Junior Monarch registration. You don't want to miss that. We have Kevin Moore, who's Cultural Officer for Music at the NCF, coming through. And quite ironic, I know sometimes in your workspace you might talk to someone but you never really see them. So this is my relationship with Kevin Moore. I've talked to him on the phone, but I've not seen him before. So this is going to be, you know, something exciting for me to find out as well. We're going to tell you how you can register for Junior Monarch and what the deadlines are. Also, we're talking pediatric care today as we speak with Dr. Gillian Birchwood, who is a pediatrician and neonatologist at the QEH. And we're looking at the stress and anxiety that goes along with exams. Sometimes we forget that the little ones get that stress, especially from us. There's a lot of pressure to perform when it comes to exams like the 11 plus and even CXCs and so on. So we'll be looking at that and ways that we can help our children. Speaking of children, the Friends of the Lord School, I know the alum will be very, very happy for this. Henry Innes, President of the Lord School Old Scholars Association, and Letitia Leon Barker, PRO, they will be here to talk about the Old Scholars Association's week of activities and the Hall of Fame. I can't wait to hear more about that. We certainly know a few Lord School Hall of Famers or people who should be inducted soon. So we will be looking at that and sharing with you exactly what's happening. Plus, we are on to the voting period of the Mums Proud Moments promotion here at Morning Barbados. So we encourage you to send your videos in and share with us. And now we're at the stage where we're encouraging you to go to our social media and go ahead and vote for the videos that you love, the ones that you think should be moving forward. So we're going to share how you can do that. And we're also going to share some of the videos that came in during the promotion. So lots for us to do here on Morning Barbados as the time quickly moves on to 21 minutes before 7 o'clock. But we get started with conversations on CARICOM. The ambassador has been missing for quite some time. I don't think he's been on since I've been hosting Morning Barbados. So I have to say, first of all, welcome back to His Excellency David Comichon, Barbados Ambassador to CARICOM. Good morning.
Morning, Tisha. And yes, I have been on one occasion with you, but I traveled last week, so I wasn't in the country. But it's a
All
pleasure
right.
to be here.
It's wonderful to have you back. It certainly seems like you've been gone for quite some time. So maybe it's just that I've been not seeing you enough on Morning Barbados. So I'm sure we're going to rectify that this morning.
I'm touched by the fact that you have been missing.
All right. So Prime Minister Motley was in Washington just a few days ago on a very important mission. Talk to us about that.
Well, yeah, we want to revisit what happened at the spring World Bank and IMF meetings. They were held between the 10th and the 16th of April. And why we want to revisit it is because very important at those sessions was the Bridgetown Initiative. And why is this a CARICOM matter? Well, at the CARICOM Heads of Government Conference in the Bahamas in February, all CARICOM member states decided to embrace the Bridgetown Initiative, which is this proposal to fundamentally transform the international economic order, to bring justice and more benefits and more assistance for developing countries like Barbados and other CARICOM countries, but also to deal with climate change, to radically upscale what the world is doing to solve the problem of climate change. So we recognize that this year is going to be a critical year for us all to push this Bridgetown Initiative, to actually have it implemented in a concrete way. And one of the first opportunities to make progress in pushing it and having it implemented was the World Bank IMF spring meetings in Washington, D.C. So Prime Minister Motley was there, and we want to examine what progress was made during those meetings.
And of course, we have a clip of Prime Minister Motley's appearance at those meetings to share with you.
There is an article that was my quick tutorial in this, How to Revitalize the World Bank, the IMF, and the Development Finance System, appeared on April 7th, so just around the corner, written by Prime Minister Motley and Rajiv Shah, that outlines you know, the meeting that happened in Barbados that led to really the call to action and the plan. And so, Prime Minister Motley, could you outline for us, and I assume other people are watching this online outside the room, what spark happened in Barbados at that meeting, and outline the initiative?
What I can tell you is that we have had enough. I sat in this room just now and I listened to the Minister of Finance from Malawi talk about a cyclone that is the most powerful, one of the most powerful and the longest lasting cyclone in world history. Let's be honest. How many people in here knew about it before he spoke? Raise your hands who knew about it. Less than 10 people. Why? Because as long as things can be hidden under a carpet, as long as the news doesn't carry, as long as the decision makers from the ministries of finance or the heads of government or heads of state are not in the room, we can have polite conversation that gives the impression of movement. When we met in Barbados last year, it was to bring a number of things to a head. The continued belief that countries can finance development with 7 and 10-year and 12-year money shorter than their citizens getting a mortgage. The continued belief that the countries of the global south must pay a premium to borrow money from the global north, either as public sector entities or private sector companies. The continued unconscious bias that regrettably passes across this world.
All right, qualify what we're watching.
Well, what we are seeing there is coming towards the end of that week of meetings, Prime Minister Motley had this, what they call fireside chat, with the UK's Minister of State in the Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office. And we'll hear from the Minister of State later. But here is Prime Minister Motley bringing out why we need the Bridgetown Initiative. And basically what she's saying is, look, the developed world does not see us, does not feel our plight, because there's built-in, and when I say us, developing countries, like the countries of Africa, the Caribbean, Asia, etc., the formerly colonized countries, that our needs are not sufficiently taken into consideration because there's a built-in bias in the international order. And so what we are saying is that there has to be a reset. We can't continue like this. We live in a world in which rich countries get to borrow money at much, much lower interest rates than poor countries, for example, who really need the money. Poor countries are being asked to finance development, with very ungenerous conditions. So whereas rich countries are routinely given much longer repayment periods for loans, for example, or have been in the past, the world as it's set up now expects developing countries that are struggling to do a similar thing, in much shorter periods. And so we are saying all of this now has to change, and we have to make this world much fairer and much more supportive for the countries and places like Africa, the Caribbean, and the peoples of those countries. So Prime Minister Motley made that point first, that at the heart of it is the fact that we are not seen, we are not felt, and enough accommodation is not given to us. And then she went on to outline some of the demands contained in the Bridgetown Initiative, which is that more resources have to be made available for development. We have to be better accommodated. When we get loans, you can't have these onerous interest rates imposed on us. You have to give us sufficient time to be able to, pay off these development loans, etc., etc.
All right. I know that we have a presentation from another conference that Prime Minister Motley attended that you want to share on as well. So we'll go ahead and share that clip and then come back and talk a little about it.
We're on sort of day 4 of IMF World Bank Week. I have not been able to follow what's gone on inside those buildings. I will take stock, the moment later. Is there any sense that the urgency that you're calling forth both in the article and today is registering, or is the posture you're hearing, we'll get to this, kick it down the road, they're not demonstrating an intensity of at least investigation? So I'm just interested in, because I don't know what the tone is among leaders right now.
As I said in here yesterday, there has been movement. But there can be
anyone you want to praise?
There can be movement if I move from 220 pounds to 210 pounds. But am I healthy at 210? So that the bottom line is this, that while there has been movement, the conversation remains vague as to scope, as to timelines, and as to specific measures needed. And my thing is that we are in an interregnum because you have a new president potentially to come to the World Bank,
right,
and we're holding meetings with a president that's leaving. By the same token, the beauty of perception is the ability to discern. I've been coming to Washington for a couple of years. Other than when I was co-chair of the Development Committee, and even then, I was told that I didn't have a right to speak and that I was only supposed to introduce speakers. I then chose to use each introduction as a 2-minute speech. There is something fundamentally wrong. I don't know who. I was co-chair of the development committee 2 years ago, but I haven't attended a development committee meeting in the last 2 years. There is something fundamentally wrong with a system that does not give opportunity to its membership to have a voice.
Right.
And the fact that I have to come outside like a protester, as if I am a temporary interloper, having been elected by a country, by the way, with all of the seats, not once but twice, but yet I'm being told that I am to speak as if I'm an interloper. Now, I may appear to be a little more angry this evening, and it's largely because my blood boiled when I heard the minister from Malawi speak.
Prime Minister really said what she meant in no uncertain terms. She was very clear on her position, and that in fact was the same fireside type chat.
Yeah, we're basically focusing on what happened during those spring meetings, and because it's important that Barbadians understand the critical importance of this Bridgetown initiative. You know, the Prime Minister said her blood boiled because here in Malawi, over 1,000 people died. And virtually nobody in the developed world was even conscious of this. And so the Bridgetown Initiative is a very serious demand for a reset in international relations. A very serious demand. And you know, we have had these demands before in the past, but what makes this one so telling is that we now have a climate crisis. And so the fact that we have a climate crisis is bringing a certain urgency to it, because wrapped in with the Bridgetown Initiative is a solution to the world's climate crisis. But the solution says you cannot have a solution to the climate crisis if you make a division between the so-called developed world and the so-called developing world. We share one world. We now need to get to this consciousness that we are an integrated world. And you developing countries, you cannot feel that you can simply be rich and you are okay and you leave poor countries and poor people behind, because if the developing countries, if the system does not help them to deal with issues like hunger and poverty and proper housing and proper health care, then how do you then expect them to be able to go on to deal with issues pertaining to stopping global warming, to dealing with the transition to renewable energy, for example? Because we all know that we have to do what is necessary to keep the global temperature from rising above a 1.5 degree increase by the end of this century. If we don't do that, all of mankind is going to be in trouble. So we need this new consciousness now, that we are all in the same boat together, and that much, much more has to be done to accommodate poor countries, developing countries. They cannot be left to be struggling with debt, to be struggling with issues of hunger and lack of development and so forth. So Prime Minister Motley was saying that some progress was made during the spring meetings. Some progress, some movement was made. There's been an acknowledgement, for example, that much more development finance needs to be made available to developing countries. But she's saying that the representatives of the developed world have not been specific enough. They have been too general. They're still too vague, and that therefore there's still much work to be done by us to ensure that the Bridgetown Initiative is implemented in a concrete way.
All right, I know that you have another clip to share with us from that conversation at the IMF and World Bank spring meetings about the Bridgetown Initiative, but we're going to take a break and come on back as we continue conversations with the ambassador to CARICOM, His Excellency David Comashong. So stay with us.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Enjoy movies, soaps, drama, comedy, inspiration, education, music, and more. You get it all when you get MCTV, because MCTV gives you more.
Some ask, what makes Barbados so special? We at Mornin Barbados say it's you, our exceptional youth. You are talented, resilient, and inspirational. You are the epitome of the Barbadian spirit, testing the boundaries of your creativity. If you are an entrepreneur, artist, baker, designer, author, or have done anything you think should be highlighted, email us at morninbarbados@cbc.bb. Let us show the world our exceptional Bajan youth.
Books open your heart, your mind.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
6:56 already. Time waits on no man or woman. So if you have to head out to work, make sure you get out in the early, make a move, because we want you to get to work on time. His Excellency David Comashong is still with us. We have the last few minutes to talk about the IMF and World Bank presentations with PM Motley talking about the Bridgetown initiative. And I know you have one more clip to share with us, so we're going to go ahead and play that and then come back and wrap up.
I think that what Mia is doing is she is tweaking, more than tweaking, the conscience of the world. The points that she's making have to have an answer. And I don't think it will be I'm sure there will be a communique from Paris which will set out a series of aims and hopefully some concrete commitments. The extent to which it's in any way a pledging conference, I think, is very, very limited. We are hoping to drive forward these climate-resistant debt clauses as a part of that summit, and the French are being incredibly collegiate with all those who are interested in doing these things, which is a very encouraging aspect of the way the international community is facing this. But there is a huge agenda, and I think that the fact that we have so many different summits this year may be an opportunity, because it gives repeated chances for what Mir and others are saying from the Global South to be heard by the North, and to react to it. And if you've got all these different summits, you've also got the vital summit about the SDGs at half-time. If you've got all these summits coming, I think there is a chance that it will drive forward the agenda more vigorously and more quickly.
Thank you. Prime Minister, you're going to need to make this good.
I want to salute President Macron for his courage, because it cannot be easy to break away from the pack, and that's what he's done. By the same token, it's dangerous, because others may say, well, you didn't talk to us before you broke away. The truth is that none of us have time for niceties anymore. None of us. And I really do hope that we appreciate that in almost every faith, it doesn't allow us to see we don't get the panacea necessarily overnight, as much as we live in an instantaneous world, that we build, 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 build. Our problem is that we need to build with speed. And I believe that if you accept that, I keep telling people I'm a Jimmy Cliff girl. You can get it if you really want, but you must try and try and try. The bottom line is, I believe that Paris represents an opportunity for us to start to build a record as we go to COP28. We cannot go to COP28 with promises. The world no longer believes what comes out of COP. We need to go to COP28 with a record and not promises.
Now, based on these discussions that the PM would have had outside of the main meetings, how do you think she's been able to push forward the Bridgetown initiative?
Well, you heard the UK minister, that Prime Minister Motley has been challenging the conscience of the world. And yes, I think we could take Prime Minister's word that some movement, we made some progress during those IMF World Bank spring meetings, but not nearly enough. But the good news is, as you heard the UK minister saying as well, we have several bites of the cherry this year. We have coming up in June this global summit that will be hosted by Prime Minister Motley and President Macron of France in Paris. It's called the Paris Summit for a new global financial pact. So that's another opportunity to push forward the Bridgetown Initiative. And then we go to the United Nations General Assembly in September. Part of the United Nations General Assembly is going to be a high-level political forum on the UN Sustainable Development Goals. So that's another opportunity to push forward the Bridgetown Initiative. Then there are the World Bank and IMF annual meetings in Morocco in October, yet another opportunity. And then finally, there's the COP28, the Conference of the Parties, that will be in the UAE, the United Arab Emirates, in early December. So this year is critical. This year is critical for us to push this Bridgetown Initiative and have it implemented in a concrete way. And this is critical. This is critical for the entire world, because it is bringing a solution to the climate crisis. But it is also critical for poor countries, developing countries, for poor people all over the world, because it promises to reset the whole way in which we do business in this world, and to be much more facilitatory, much more accommodating of the developmental needs of Africa, Caribbean, Latin America, all of the developing countries. Hitherto, we have in the past, we have been asked to be miracle people, basically to do massive development, but with very, very little support or facilitation. And we are saying that cannot continue. And so this Bridgetown Initiative that was formed here in Barbados last year is probably the most important project on the international agenda today, and all of us need to unite behind our Prime Minister and her team, and let us give them all the support that they need to make this a concrete living reality.
All right, thank you so much, Ambassador Comachon, for coming through and sharing with us. I'm also certainly sharing the schedule of some of those other meetings that will be taking place throughout the year, so that we can stay on top of listening out to hear how we are able to share more about the Bridgetown Initiative. Again, thanks for your time.
Thank you very much, Tisha. It was a pleasure.
All right, coming up on Morning Barbados, we're going to tell you how you can sign up for Junior Monarch, when the deadlines are, and what you need to do. Also, the Lodge School Old Scholars will be in. But before that, we're going to give you an update of news.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Books open your heart, your mind, and your soul. They are educational, entertaining, inspiring, and motivating. Are you an author of a recent book you want to share? Then Mornin Barbados would love to feature your book in our The Next Chapter segment. Send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.bb. That's morning without the G. Come and let us turn those pages together.
Because you love English Premier League, MCTV has got it back. Now you can watch all the games of the English Premier League plus UEFA and NFL on MCTV. Current customers can upgrade to Matchback Extra at just $23. Call MCTV today at 228-6288 to upgrade or come in.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
4.5 minutes now after 7 o'clock, time for an update of your news on Morning Barbados. Well, researchers have found a concerning trend of devices which turn regular weapons into assault rifles being found in this region, and they warn that these tools are easy to make. It's one of the findings in the Caribbean Firearms Study, a 2-year survey on guns in the Caribbean. As the report was embargoed until recently, here is what we can tell you about it.
If the recent CARICOM symposium labelled crime as a health issue, then the framers of this report believes this is a crucial part of the diagnostic stage. CARICOM Impacts and the Small Arms Survey said this is the first such report of its kind on illicit firearms in the Caribbean region, which means it's a rare but maybe necessary departure from data in this region being lumped together with Latin America, as the study states that the rate of lethal violence in the Caribbean for 2020 was almost 3 times the global rate. And in their research, the team found that CARICOM's recent statement banning the use of assault rifles was necessary as
you now have these items that can be produced very cheaply and can convert even a pistol into a fully automatic.
And even though the report is region-wide, they say this is particularly a local issue.
Trinidad and Tobago has seized quite a few of them over the past 2-3 years.
And according to CARICOM Impacts, those conversion devices are quite easy to get your hands on.
You were talking about Glock switches. Yeah. Some of them can be made with the 3D printers. So it's not anything significant really, but they're easy, affordable kinds of things.
Another interesting statistic in the report is that there's just over 1 registered gun per 100 residents in the region, meaning that illegal guns far outnumber legal firearms in the Caribbean. However, the researchers believe arming more citizens may not be the solution.
Well, back here in Barbados, yesterday's May Day saw an historic signing of what's being termed as a statement of trust in the people of Barbados. It was signed by Prime Minister Mia Motley, the unions and private sector. The Prime Minister told the thousands who turned out at the National Botanical Gardens for the 81st anniversary celebrations of the Barbados Workers' Union that it's a 7-year exercise against the challenges that face us. CBC's Trevor Thorpe files this report.
It's official. Government and the private sector have signed the Declaration of Mission. And before placing her signature digitally on the document in the National Botanical Gardens today, Prime Minister Mia Motley told the large audience it is a statement of trust in the people of Barbados. In giving a breakdown of the elements, the Barbadian leader said it is a 7-year exercise. It was the major event of the 85th anniversary celebrations of the Barbados Workers' Union.
That by 2030, we become a clean and beautiful large ocean state, championing sustainable development locally and globally, with the goal of all domestic activities becoming 100% sustainable by 2035. 2, that by 2030, transform Barbados into a country of active, involved citizens. All Barbadians will feel empowered and engaged in the social, economic, and cultural development of the country as confident, creative, compassionate, and entrepreneurial citizens. 3, by 2030, ensure that every Bajan has equitable and reliable access to clean water and nutritious food that is affordable.
The Prime Minister said the document is also to transform Barbados into a high-functioning, resilient society and will touch all Barbadians. General Secretary of the Barbados Workers' Union, Tony Moore, said the Declaration of Mission will ensure a better life for Barbadians.
Today, in signing the BW support for the missions, we are signing for a better future for ourselves, a better future for our children, a future whose success depends on all of us. So I want you to turn to your neighbor at this time and say, it's about you. It's about you. Turn the other side, like if you're in church, and say, it's about you. And I want you to look behind and say, it's about you. Because it is about all of us. More from me as I come back to give the May Day address. God bless the BWU, the labor movement, and Barbados.
Minister of Labour Colin Jordan, in his remarks, said it is a mission to change Barbados.
Today we acknowledge on Labour Day, May Day, the labour of workers in Barbados, the labour of workers across the world. And we acknowledge their contribution, our contribution to the development of our country, to the development of our region, and globally to the development of our world.
The declaration of mission is to reinvigorate Barbados. It is a mission to transform Barbados with a focused developmental strategy. Trevor Thorpe, CBC News.
Well, thank you, Trevor. What a comprehensive report. There is a plan on the cards from the Barbados Water Authority to be able to reuse grey and black water. Manager of Water Resources and Environmental Management Unit, Alex Eiffel, speaking on CBC TV8's The People's Business, said legislation is coming.
There is presently a bill being prepared to go through Parliament, the water reuse bill, that will capture all those opportunities for the average homeowner to reuse grey water, to use reclaimed black water for agricultural purposes and other industrial waters to be used for agricultural purposes, to use rainwater in the homes. But that bill is, I think, is presently being looked at by the Chief Parliamentary Council. And once it has gone through those stages, there will be the community communications session where we will alert the community on the rules and the opportunities within that bill.
Viewers are also being told by Met Services that the drought which is upon us is likely to worsen this month.
Currently, we are expecting below normal rainfall for both May and June. So we expect similar conditions to what we would have gotten in April. But lucky for us, May and June tend to have a little more rainfall than April and March. So we are moving into that period where even though it will be below average, we would still get a few more showers. We do seasonal forecast with monthly updates, so we are going to do an update again to the public in the middle of May. We have a good working relationship with Water Authority as they can understand why it's so critical to know the forecast and what's currently happening on the ground as it relates to rainfall and going forward. So we would continue to update them so that they would know what actions are needed and they can make the relevant plans for Barbados as it relates to the water issue that we are currently having.
And that was senior meteorologist Samalka Jackman, who was speaking on last evening's presentation of The People's Business. A major soca drive is in store for Barbadian calypso enthusiasts, as this island's #1 party station, 98.1 The One, is kicking off the Crop Over Festival today with a full day of soca music and visits from various local artists. In the coming weeks, listeners and viewers can tune in for special programming like Soca Avenue and Sweet Soca Sundays. Meanwhile, on stations QFM and 94.7 FM, they will be sharing classic Kaiso favorites, soca and souse, and several other exciting initiatives, all designed to keep festival spirit high on the airwaves. For those crop over music lovers who like it hands-on, the 98.1 FM pop-up parties are back at various locations like Flash Zone and Influence Bars. Fans can follow all three stations on social media and, of course, stay connected with CBC, the home of all festivals. And that is our update of news at this time. More Morning Barbados after this break.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Because you love English Premier League, MCTV has got it back. Now you can watch all the games of the English Premier League plus UEFA and NFL on MCTV. Current customers can upgrade to Max Pack Extra at just $23. Call MCTV today at 228-6288 to upgrade or come in and sign up for our new service. Football fans, let MCTV get you back in the game.
The facts say Morning Barbados reaches an audience of over 50,000 and Newsnight reaches over 56,000. It's simple. When you advertise, you're getting your message to over 50,000 of your potential customers. Make the call to CBC Sales Department today and watch your business grow. Contact us at 467-5559 or email marketing@cbc.bb.
Morning, morning, morning. Good
Hey, 7:15 in Barbados and across the land. Now, how do you know crop over is in the air? Well, you certainly hear more about what's happening with music. And one of the things we definitely want to hear about is the Junior Monarch competition. So lots of music has been coming out already, and we certainly have been sharing on Fresh Fridays. But it's time now for us to tell you all about what's available for the youngest Calypsonians and soca artists among us, because they have an opportunity to participate in the Junior Monarch competition. Registration is coming up. Let's say good morning and welcome to Cultural Officer for Music at the NCF, Kevin Moore. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, Tisha. Hey, good morning, Barbados.
Hi, Kevin. I was saying that we've had conversations, but I don't think, you know, it was an eyes-on conversation.
Not face-to-face. Definitely not face-to-face.
So it's definitely good to be able to put a face to the voice.
Yes, please. Yes, please.
All right. So registration for Junior Monarch. Tell us how we can get involved for those young people who might be interested.
Right, so Junior Monarch registration is currently open. You can find the links to our registration on the www.ncf.bb website. And as soon as you go on the website, there's a tab that says registration forms. And once you click on that tab, the Junior Monarch registration form is one of the first there. The deadline for Junior Monarch registration is on Friday, May 5th at 4 p.m. All right. This year, we're running Junior Monarch. We're trying to involve the schools a lot more. We're trying to involve the children to share their ideas a lot more and share their thoughts. So, for instance, if you want to enter Junior Monarch, you don't already have a song, you could get together with a colleague who have the talent of putting together ideas and coming up with a song together as a school project into the Junior Monarch. The one person will render the song as a singer, but you can work together on the song within the schools as a project. So we've been really pushing Junior Monarch to the schools, and we're pushing it to the public as well, because we do know Junior Monarch goes to the age of 18, where some persons are not within the school age or would have already left school to go on to different things as well.
No, I know that Junior Monarch is a whole lot more than just a competition, because you develop the young ones, everything from preparing and writing music to performance, etc. So tell us more about this entire initiative, which is Junior Monarch.
Right. So for those who don't know, Junior Monarch, as Tisha was said, is a developmental program. What we do workshops on songwriting, singing, arranging. We sit with the students and we prepare their packages. So it's more developmental than just a competition. We bring in experts within Barbados to assist them with their presentations for semifinals and finals. But we really don't focus that much on the competition aspect and a lot more on the developmental aspect. This year, Junior Monarch is similar to last year, where we have the soca category and the calypso category, but we're judging within one age range, which is 7 to 18. But we do have the calypso category and the soca category, and within these categories, persons can submit their renditions, what they want. Well, not their renditions, their registration forms, and then we do our preliminaries in a live audition phase. The preliminaries are slated for May 27th and 28th, so you still have time to get a song ready. If you don't have a song yet, just get in the registration form.
What's that registration form like? Because I know sometimes it can be a big deterrent for some people when they think about, oh my goodness, I'm going to have to put my life story on this page. So talk to us about the registration form.
So the registration form is a simple form. Really and truly, at the beginning of the registration form, you have the rules and regulations of the Junior Monarch. And that's necessary so that persons know what they're getting into and know what constructs they're guided by. So we have in the rules and regulations, how the preliminaries work, how the semifinals work, how the finals work, and then general rules and regulations. It also has in what the prize monies are, and all of that information are in there, and the important dates. And then you get down to the form, and the form is fairly simple. You put in your name, your parents' name, assuming the parents will be filling out the form. So the parents put in your name and their name, their contact numbers, the school you attend, contact email address. If you have a song already, the contact for the person who would have written the song for you or arranged the song for you, whatever the case may be. And then it's just permissions from their signing, and it's the end of the form.
So considering how former monarchs have been able to seamlessly move on to the musical soundscape here in Barbados, you know, it definitely is something. If you are interested, or if you have a child who is interested, you definitely should register, because registration ends on Friday, May 5th. That is in a snap. That's going to be here before you know it. Today is already Tuesday. Where can we find the forms?
Yes, the forms are on the www.ncf.bb website. Once you go to the website, you go to the tab that says registration forms. It's right at the top of the page. And once you click on that tab, Junior Monarch 2023 will be one of the first forms you see there. And there you can find the forms for all of the NCF competitions and programs that are currently running.
All right. Well, Kevin, I'm going to have to write a song because I can't sing. I can't sing the song Know the Face. I have to sing Know the Voice. And now Know the Face for you.
Yes, yes.
All right, so great to see you, and thank you. And we're certainly going to continue to push and encourage young Barbadians and parents alike to register for Junior Monarch 2023. Thank you. Kevin is Cultural Officer of Music at the National Cultural Foundation. Have a good one.
You as well. Thank you very much.
All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, Dr. Gillian Birchwood is in the house. Stay with us.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
While you go about your business, we go about our business, and that is gathering the news. Stay up to date at CBC News Barbados on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Get news update on radio throughout the day. And join us for the CBC News Night at 7 every night. CBC News team is on the job and bringing you the news.
There is a saying, you can find a Bajan anywhere. Are you a Bajan living abroad? Or do you know of one who has migrated to another country? Well, we at Mornin Barbados would love to have you or them on our Bajan Afar segment. Share your amazing stories, experiences, and how you have adapted to a new culture. Send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.bb, and together we will travel the world.
Enjoy movies, soaps, drama, comedy, inspiration, education, music, and more. You get it all when you get MCTV, because MCTV gives you more.
Some ask, what makes Barbados so special? We at Mornin Barbados say it's you, our exceptional youth. You are talented, resilient, and inspirational. You are the epitome of the Barbadian spirit, testing the boundaries of your creativity. If you are an entrepreneur, artist, baker, designer, author, or have done anything you think should be highlighted, email us at morninbarbados@cbc.bb. Let us show the world our exceptional Bajan youth.
It's 7:23. Today we're focusing on the little ones. As you can imagine, it was just back to school last week. They were home. There's a new nutritional policy that's been instituted in schools, and we know that children are always preparing for exams or tests, even if it's just the pop quiz in the class. Sometimes it can be quite stressful. So we want to be able to deal adequately with our children and help them along with these stresses, which might not seem major to us, but they will be major to them. Dr. Gillian Birchwood joins us now to delve into that a little bit more. Good morning. Always great to see you.
Good morning, Tisha, and good morning to all of Barbados. Good morning. You are so right about the exam stresses the children can have, that we should not dismiss their exam stresses. You're so right about that.
All right, so how do we recognize that the children are in a situation where they are stressed out, where it is a little too much? I know sometimes we can complain about the children being lazy or overly dramatic. So how are you able to say, okay, this is at a place where we have to do something about it?
Yes, exam season is really upon us. We have the fifth formers and the fourth formers doing CSEC. We have CAPE coming up. We have common entrance. We have end of year exams. And, all the expectations are there upon the children. And sometimes, as you said, it can be really overwhelming. And how children show signs of anxiety and stress is something that we as parents ought to pay attention to. So the signs and symptoms of anxiety can vary by age. So in very young children who are 4 or 5, perhaps, they may not be able to articulate exactly what they're feeling. What you'll find is that their behavior may change. So they may start being very clingy. They may start crying and fretting a lot when it's time to go to school. Or they may have tantrums, and their behavior change really might be the clue that something else is happening. But when you have older children, they are usually able to articulate what's going on. Those who are in the later classes of primary school, and certainly those in secondary school, may be able to express to you, I'm feeling anxious about exams coming up, I'm feeling scared. But what you really want to look for is signs that it is becoming overwhelming. So for example, is your child's behavior changing? Are they becoming withdrawn? Is their behavior changing in terms of how they're eating? Are they eating less or eating more? Are they finding it hard to go to sleep and stay asleep? So that you find that you wake up in the middle of the night and your teenager will still be awake on their phone. That might be a sign of anxiety. And then, of course, there are the physical signs and symptoms which parents may not recognize are related to anxiety. For example, they'll show up at the doctor's office, and this is where we come in, with the headaches and the tummy pain and the I'm not feeling well at all. And these really may be physical signs, or as we say, somatic signs of anxiety and overwhelming stress. So these are the sorts of things we want parents to really notice and pay attention to.
Yeah, it calls for just being acutely aware of what's happening with your child, though, or your children, because you can't possibly figure out that they're doing things differently if you don't know how they do things. Because for me, hearing you talk about waking up and finding the children up on the phone late at night, good morning to my nephews. I mean, that is par for the course. It seems like, you just wake up in the middle of the night and they're on the phone. So I never thought that this could possibly be a part of stress. I thought this was a part of maybe FOMO, which is fear of missing out, always wanting to be on TikTok or something. So, that definitely is insightful. So once we figure out what's happening, what can we do to help them?
Well, once you figure out what's happening with your child, the first step in helping them is to recognize what's going on. If you don't recognize, you won't take those necessary steps. So when it comes to exam anxiety in particular, you want to really help your child stop the catastrophic thinking that really makes them feel extremely upset. So you want to help them manage those expectations. So you say to them, okay, let's go to the worst case scenario. What if you do fail this exam? What's the worst thing that can happen? And you want to be able to take them through those steps. Yes, do walk down that road. Your life is not over. Help them to manage those expectations. Your life isn't ruined. You won't be thrown out onto the streets. Your parents won't hate you and think that you're terrible. So you want to walk down that road, and you also want to give them strategies for, okay, let's say there was the worst case scenario. Let's say we did fail this exam. Then what we really can do is actually know that we need to study harder for the next one. We may need to do a class to help us catch up. We may need to do extra lessons. In other words, it isn't the end of the world. Another thing that you can do to help them to manage, and it is on the slide there, is to help them set up a study schedule. So, you might think, okay, my fifth former should be old enough to do this on their own. But really and truly, sometimes you need to help them with those organizational skills that they need to succeed. So yes, you need to help them put that phone down, bring the phone into me by a certain time so you're not tempted to use it, or set limits on the phone themselves. You want to encourage them to police themselves on the phone so they're not going to waste hours of time when they could be studying. Help them with that study schedule. The other thing is to help them to eat well and to sleep well. If you want to retain, all those facts that you're sitting there learning all night long, well, hopefully not all night long, you need to get some good rest. It's ideal if you can get at least 8 hours of sleep, which may be challenging at the peak of exam season. They need to eat well. You need fuel to help those facts be retained in your memory. In addition to that, take study breaks. So at least every couple of hours, and less for the younger children, you need to take a clear break where you walk away from the work and you're not spending all of that time trying to cram facts in when your brain is tired. And one last thing, don't forget the extracurricular activities.
I was just thinking about that. I was just thinking about, because sometimes those are the real source of the stress. Just that schedule you're talking about, being able to seamlessly move from maybe academic and non-academic. And even sometimes for the older children or those at 11 plus age, we send them off to lessons. So that's a big part of what they're doing too.
Yes, I'm glad you brought that up, because all those lessons, if we take away all the extracurricular activities, we take away all the things that can help them to relieve stress, we just are going to put them in a pressure cooker and they're going to pop. So you need them to go out and play football and cricket and, you know, do their athletics training. Don't take away all those activities and have them chained to a desk. It's really, really important. And make sure that you spend time with your child, listen to their concerns, do more listening than talking. Don't dismiss their concerns. And last thing, help them to handle failure. Failure is just a rung on the ladder to success. All of us have been through failure at some point in our lives. It hasn't marked the end of our lives, and it can be very instructive and help them to grow. So all of us really should expect to fail at some point, and it isn't always a bad thing.
All right, I think what we're going to have to do is get you to teach a master class on how to retrain Barbadian parents, particularly when it comes to things like CSEC and 11 plus, because I mean, based on, you know, people of our generation, how we were taught or how we were handled when it came to these things, we believe that's what we need to do. Go beat the books. And a lot of the times it's almost like punishment. Go do it, you know. So for some children, it certainly isn't a labor of love or doing something they like. It's you know, so it truly can be stressful. But you definitely have left me with some food for thought. And if I follow everything on your list, I won't be the strict parent I am any longer.
They need boundaries, so there has to be a balance. But we don't want to beat them over the head with a book, because that does not make for a good student.
No. No beating with books?
No. No beating with books. No matter how tempted you are, and as a parent, I know how tempting it feels, but no, it really isn't the best thing for the long term, you know? It's just one step in their life.
Understood. Saved by the doc. I want to thank you so much, Dr. Gillian Birchwood, for sharing with us. But we definitely need to look at it. And I know this is now third term. So we have the little ones maybe at the third form level. Each level we're looking to move up at the secondary level. We have the little ones moving into the secondary schools. So it definitely is a time for parents to help them. I think a good start is really to help them with those schedules. I certainly hope that you can come back in maybe even before our next stint, so we can talk about this national nutritional policy and how that can impact everything that's happening with our children as well.
Excellent idea. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Gillian Birchwood, always insightful. So she is consultant pediatrician and neonatologist at the QEH. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're telling you about some wonderful things the Lord School Old Scholars Association will be up to. We're going to tell you how you can get involved, the Hall of Fame, and who knows, somebody you know might be heading on that list pretty soon. Stay with us.
Some ask, what makes Barbados so special? We at Mornin Barbados say it's you, our exceptional youth. You are talented, resilient, and inspirational. You are the epitome of the Barbadian spirit, testing the boundaries of your creativity. If you are an entrepreneur, artist, baker, designer, author, or have done anything you think should be highlighted, email us at morninbarbados@cbc.bb. Let us show the world our exceptional Bajan youth.
open your heart, your mind, and your soul. They are educational, entertaining, inspiring, and motivating. Are you an author of a recent book you want to share?
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Hey, 25 minutes to 8 o'clock on this Tuesday. I told you, time waits for no man. So, we are here and all of a sudden, just a few minutes left before we have to go. All right, so let's invite the friends from the Lodge School Old Scholars Association to come on through. It's all about school pride as we continue to look at back to school, but look at the active Old Scholars Associations as well and see what they are up to as we move into a new school year. Henry Innes is president of the Lodge School Old Scholars Association, and Letitia Leon Barker is PRO of that association. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning. Thank you.
Thank you.
All
Ticia.
right. It's good to see. Did I pronounce your name correctly? Is it Letitia?
Yes, it is.
All right. Good stuff. Because I know sometimes you get it wrong. Just wanted to make sure. But
I
it's wonderful to
understand.
see that you also have different generations of people active in your Old Scholars Association. So let me start with you, Mr. President.
Yes.
Tell me all about the
Henry.
Lodge School Association. I'm doing well, thank you. Tell me all about the Lodge School Association, first of all.
Okay, so we are an alumni association. We have been doing a number of activities to assist the school. Some of us are actively involved in coaching and other interactions with the students at the school. Others are involved on committees where we plan various events. The most recent one was a hike, and we are now planning for our reunion. Last year, the Law School of Scholars Association International had a reunion in the USA in Atlanta, and we felt that it was time for us to have one here in Barbados. We haven't had one here in Barbados for over 30 years. The last one on record that I know of is one that was held jointly with the Codrington High School. So this one now, that will be during the week of September 23rd to the 30th. This is going to be a grand affair. We look forward to having a large number of our scholars come out and be a part of the activities which will be put on. The major activity, the primary event, will be the launch of the Hall of Fame, and that will be in the form of a Hall of Fame dinner at the Hilton Hotel on September 24th.
I don't know if you'll be able to hold all the Lodge School. Is it Lodge Schoolites? All the Lodge School, former Lodge School students who will be coming through for that. I'm sure they're going to be excited to hear more about the launch of this Hall of Fame. Letitia, tell us more about that.
Okay, good morning. First, I just want to say a special good morning to Barbados and also to the other members of the board who are not present. We have Ben Toppin, who's a vice president. We have Corey Barrow, who is a member relation officer. I want to say a special good morning to the treasurer, Glenn Pilgrim, the secretary treasurer, Tracy Leacock, and the assistant treasurer, Denise Reed. Now, the president would have mentioned that we are the local chapter, the main chapter, and there's also an overseas chapter, and we could not complete all of the events and activities and contributions that we do for the law school without the overseas chapter. So I'll just quickly call their names for a quick recognition. Dr. Anton Rees, Dr. John Daniel, Dr. Ronald Clark, Dave Sahadov, Julia Linton Moore, Sherilyn Moore, Malcolm Murrow, Francis Jilk, Arlie Hoyt, and Paul Osinloy. All right, so back to the Hall of Fame. This year, it is going to take place in the form of a dinner, which is going to be held at the Hilton. So we are super excited about having the law school alma mater come out and support. We are going to have for the first time the Hall of Fame dinner, which will be featuring a number of sporting athletes, persons who would have contributed to sports and development at the law school in areas of athletics, cricket, and football. So the dinner is going to be in celebration of these individuals, but it's also so you can sit together, have a meal as a family. There will be entertainment, and part of the contribution that is being made for that dinner will go towards the school.
All right. Now, I certainly hope you got everything in off that script.
I hope so too.
All right. So back to what, we want to know. How did you select the people to be a part of this Hall of Fame? You mentioned a few athletes, but what was the process? Because we're talking about many, many years of athletes and so on for Lodge School.
Well, I'm going to let Henry elaborate on that one. Yes. Thank you.
Right. Yes. Okay. So, as you know, the law school is a very old school, having started in, 1721, but then classes actually started in 1745. So you went back to records that were reliable, that we could work from, and looked at those athletes who were outstanding, as the teacher mentioned, in athletics, cricket, and football. We did that because we would have had too many persons had we tried to consider all of the sports that have been played at the school over the years. So we are considering persons who were in athletics, cricket, and football. If you were some background. If you were a former athlete, you would be what would be considered would be if you had made a national team, your outstanding performances at your law school. Persons can also be inducted posthumously, and you would have to have left law school for more than 10 years, in kind of a cooling off period. In the case of a sports administrator or coach, you would have to work at your law school for at least 5 years. Those persons can also be inducted posthumously, and they can be considered for induction even though they're no longer working at the law school. So those are the main areas that we looked at in terms of inducting persons into the Hall of Fame. There are 5 broad categories for inductees, and those broad categories are sporting greats of all time, sporting greats by acclamation from any time, sporting greats by virtue of national representation at any time, sporting greats in their time at school, and sporting greats by association with the school's teams over any time. Should like to make, if you would like to know, we have not informed all of the inductees as yet, so we don't want to definitively name them. But if I were to mention a few names to you, you would not be surprised to know that those persons may be considered to be in the Hall of Fame. Like, for example, Sheena Gooding, who was an outstanding athlete at the law school and for Barbados, having won several medals. Jim Wedderburn, who won the very first medal for Barbados at the Olympic Games in 1960, I think it was. We have Ambassador Noah Lynch, who was an outstanding sprinter. We have Dr. Ronald Clark, and he and Noah Lynch both qualified for the 1980 Olympics, which Barbados did not attend because we boycotted. We have double Olympian Siebert Strawn. We have Matt Todman, who many of us would know, the late Sam Scott. And then in cricket, we had the late John Goddard, who was a former West Indies captain, the late Tony Cozier, who was an internationally acclaimed commentator. We had Floyd Reefer, former West Indies captain, the late Tyrone Smith, who was the Vic Richards of our day at school. And then we had distinguished Professor Ken Haywood, who was a top footballer from the 1960s and so on. So we have a number of persons who we are considering. We will inform all of those persons in the next week or so. So by the time you invite us next Mornin Barbados teacher, we will have a final list of inductees for you.
Oh, wonderful. Sounds good. So as we lead up to September 23rd to 30th and that big reunion and Hall of Fame presentation, we certainly hope you come on back and share with us. We most certainly have some friends of Morning Barbados and some colleagues here at CBC who really have that large school pride. So thanks for coming in. You have a wonderful day, and I hope your reunion is exceptional. Letitia Leon Barker, PRO, and Henry Innes, President of the Lodge School Old Scholars Association. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. All right. Sounds exciting. I am excited already. At all reunions, you should have to wear your school uniform back. Maybe that will be one of the events that they do. Who knows? All right, we're going to take a break and come on back on Morning Barbados just 15 minutes before 8 o'clock, 15 minutes before we wrap for today. Stay with me.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
While you go about your business, we go about our business, and that is gathering the news. Stay up to date at CBC News Barbados on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Get news update on radio throughout the day. And join us for the CBC News Night at 7 every night. CBC News team is on the job and bringing you the news.
There is a saying, you can find a Bajan anywhere. Are you a Bajan living abroad? Or do you know of one who has migrated to a
morning? Good morning. Good morning to you.
All right, 14 minutes to go before 8 o'clock. All right, exciting time. So we've been telling you over the last few days all about the Mom's Proud Moment promotion here on Morning Barbados. We encouraged you to think about those proud moments as moms and share the videos with us. And we have the top videos that will be posted to our social media. Voting starts today. So we're going to go ahead and share those videos with you so you know exactly what or who you will be voting for. First up, this is Ingrid Aline, and she said this is her son, Tevin Aline's, doing his recital at the Barbados Community College, and this was her proud mom moment. I'm assuming that's Tevon up front and center. Mom, I would have loved to see your face, you know, big smiles, enjoying the music in the background, sounding good. Remember, all you have to do is go to our social media pages and vote if you love that video of Tevin Aline doing his recital at BCC. That is his mom's proud moment. In the same vein, we have Maria Edie's submission, which is a video of her son, Lil E, performing at his school competition. She says she was extremely proud of his confidence and stage presentation. And guess what? He came first. All right, truly some proud mom moments. That's Lil E. If you want to vote for him and you love that proud mom moment, Maria Edie and her little one, Ethan Lil E, performing at his school competition, then you must head on over and vote. Remember, voting is open from today's 2nd to the 5th. That's Friday. And then we're going to announce the winner and present the grand prize. We'll tell you exactly what, if you don't know as yet, coming up. But in the same vein, the next presentation from Leandra Bishop is also a presentation, this time at NIFCA in the Square. She said there were truly many moments that she could choose from, but this one was truly memorable. This is her son, Nathaniel Bishop, playing Emerton. Oh, truly some proud moments. Now, the next one is from Nicole Hollingsworth Greenwich. This submission is, you know, I'm loving this one. She says that on the 3rd of April, 2023, the Springer Memorial Secondary School established the first female cadet company in Barbados, and by extension, the region. And on that day, she had the honor of watching 2 of her daughters march in the parade for the establishment of that cadet company number 23. So this mom, Nicole Hollingsworth Greenwich, felt immense pride in watching her daughters. Let's watch. Oh, truly some proud moments. I'm so happy to see these moms putting out these wonderful occasions, celebrating their children. Hey, we're going to take a break and come on back and share the other videos that made it for you. Remember, 2nd to 5th May, your time to vote. Stay with me.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
There is a saying, you can find a Bajan anywhere. Are you a Bajan living abroad? Or do you know of one who has migrated to another country? Well, we at Mornin Barbados would love to have you or them on our Bajan Afar segment. Share your amazing stories, experiences, and how you have adapted to a new culture. Send us an email to morninbarbados.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
All right, welcome back. We're continuing with our Mom's Proud Moment promotion. It's at the stage now where you get to go online to our social media pages and vote for the videos that you love most, the ones that you think depict Mom's Proud Moments most, for the mom who will be heading over to a wonderful lunch for her and 4 others over at the Marriott. Hey, we are going to continue now with Stacia Strawn, who said her proudest moment as a mom was seeing her daughter graduate from secondary school, the class of 2022.
Sonia also has an interest in cooking and desires to own her own restaurant one day. And we wish her all the best in her endeavors. We do wish all of them the very best in their endeavors. Gabrielle Mullen.
Oh, lunch for you and 4 others at Courtyard by Marriott. If you want to make sure that's you, make sure you go on over and vote and get people to vote for you. Okay, in our next presentation, we have Mrs. Tigra Rogers Francis. And she says that her daughter started George Lamming Primary School in October 2019 after spending 5 years in Trinidad and Tobago. And when she started, there was no brownie unit at the school, and for the year she was there, even during the COVID and online classes, they would talk about the Boy Scouts and why the school had nothing for the girls. And after a long wait, something happened that she's incredibly proud about. So that is the commissioner putting on their enrollment pins, and she was extremely proud about that. And our next video is of Gail Jones, who is sharing a video of her daughter Given, and she says there are many, many proud moments of Given that she wanted to share with us.
Given, which of these do we use to clean our hands?
The soap.
All right. Good. And what else do we use along with soap to clean our hands?
Water, rub it and use the towel to rub it.
Very good.
Oh, so sweet. She knows how to cleanse her hands. That's so wonderful. I remember when my little one was that small. You really feel proud at those moments. And to share, Arthur shared with us a video of her daughter, Asia Arthur Walcott, participating in school sport. She came second.
Right, Asia, run! Right, Asia, run! Right, Asia! Right, Asia, run! Run, Asia! Run, Asia, run, go!
Run, Asia, run. Oh, that's funny. That was really good. So, you can head on over to the social media and like the ones that you think are, or best depict Mom's proud moments. That one at the end definitely put a smile on my face. My goodness. But it's wonderful. Thank you so much to all of you who entered the Morning Barbados Mom's Proud Moment promotion. And we are hoping that you head on over and show them your love, view the entries, and, like the ones that you like. And the one with the most likes will be moving forward for a chance at that grand prize of lunch for mom and 4 guests at Courtyard by Marriott Hotel on Mother's Day. Hey, here's where we have to leave it for today, Tuesday. So, on your way, whatever you're doing today, remember to wear your smiles and do have a wonderful day. And come on back tomorrow for another edition of Morning Barbados. Bye-bye.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Barbados, get up. Good morning.